Who did this to you, Vine? Tell me, Jungkook asked, his empty and dark eyes staring at Vine while his fists were clenched and jaw tightened. Few minutes ago, Jungkook entered his mansion at his usual time, but he immediately barged into his room today when he saw drops of blood on the floor. His heart beat loudly as he thought about Vine getting hurt, but he prayed in his heart for it to not be the case. But when he entered the room, he saw Vine holding her shirt in her mouth to put bandages on her waist, her hand also covered with bruises, and her face and expressions completely empty. Jungkook's eyes widened as he took in the scene. Vine immediately pulled down her shirt and acted as if nothing happened. She wiped her cheeks for if any tears were still there, but to her surprise, she didn't even shed one. She was practically dead from inside, especially from the fact that no one will care if she gets hurt or even die. Jungkook's jaw clenched as he stared at her for a few seconds before asking her, "Who did this to you?" His eyes reflecting the pain and burning sensation that he was feeling in his heart. Vine, surprised at his question as to why does he care about whatever happens to her. "No one, Jungkook. I fell down the stairs." Jungkook, who was already angry, asked her, "Don't lie to me, Vine. I can see the bruises. Just tell me who did this." "Vine, why do you care? Just have dinner and sleep," she said as she got up to go to the bathroom to get rid of this conversation. Jungkook immediately hurried towards her, and holding her wrist, he hugged her, making Vine shocked. "Jungkook, I'm so sorry, Vine. I'm really sorry that I wasn't there when it happened to you." His voice cracking because of the fear and emotions. Vine swallowed, unable to believe what he was saying. Jungkook broke the hug and took in her cheeks in his hands. "Just tell me who did this. I won't let that man take another breath of relief. Why? Just why didn't you tell me anything? I would have ran over. You must be feeling so lonely after getting home. I'm sorry." He hugged her again. He hugged her again as his eyes started getting red. Vine's expression softened as she felt the emotions in his voice and touch. He really cares about her. But didn't he just marry her because he was obsessed with her looks? She was occupied by those thoughts when she asked him. "Fine. Why? Why do you keep asking who did this to me?" Jungkook broke the hug and looked in her eyes. "I will burn that," he said, his fingers curling into fists so hard that his veins popped up. "Fine. Would you really do that for me? Do you really care about me?" "Jungkook, of course I care about you. More than you think." Vine slowly moved her hands to his back and hugged him, her trust getting back on him. "Vine, even if it's your brother?" Jungkook's eyes widened, but he stayed at his place, making sure that she trusts him. "I told you I don't care about anyone other than you in this world." Jungkook broke the hug, looking into her eyes. "Put your trust in me for once." Vine's eyes were locked with his. She knew what he was feeling: betrayed, lost, angry. But he never showed it to her. Instead, told her how much he cared for her. He told her that so many times in a day that she was tired of listening to that lie. But today she realized that he might not be just lying. When she carefully and deeply looked into his eyes, Vine tried to say something, but tears started forming in her eyes, and this time she hugged him back. Vine, I got home and I wanted to cry so bad, but I didn't shed one tear. I didn't cry because there was no one to hear it, no one to care, no one to hold me like this. She tightened her grip against his shirt and cried loudly in his embrace. Fine. Thanks for saying that you care about me. Thanks for letting me cry. Thanks for providing me this shoulder to put my head on, even if it's all fake, even if it's all a lie. Thank you. She cried and cried on his shoulder, and Jungkook didn't say a word. But he could feel it all. His heart was burning, and his eyes reflected the flames. But all he could think about was regretting that this happened to her in his own house, under his protection. The fact that he could have stopped this if he paid more attention to his brother was killing him deep down. After letting her cry for a few moments, Jungkook, come here, let me hold you, he said as he held her wrist to take her to sit on the bed. But Vine came into her senses and said, no, Jungkook, I'm fine. Jungkook persistently held her wrist and said, trust me. He made her sit and pulled up her t-shirt a bit. Every bruise gave him another reason to kill his brother. He carefully and gently treated her wounds, making her feel comfortable in his touch for the first time. Jungkook, after treating her, I will never let this happen ever again. I promise. A great pause as they stared at each other. You're mine, Vine, and no one gets to hurt what's mine. Vine, thank you. The only thing she thought of saying to him. Jungkook pulled her in his embrace and patted her hair. I love you, Vine, and I need you to believe that. Vine felt tears in her eyes once again. It's just something in his touch that makes her cry, that makes her feel at home. She stayed in his embrace until she slept there, and Jungkook didn't dare to wake her up by getting up. He stayed with her because he knew that it's one of the nights when she needs him the most, and he can't ignore that. But surely after the night, hell is waiting for his brother.